We were living the dream. We thought we would live in Minneapolis our whole life. It is the city of our heart. We just love it.
And then we got a call from someone who had nominated us for this open position in a ministry called FamilyLife.
This wasn't like take the role and stay where you are. This was take the role and uproot your entire life and kids and move to this new place.
And I was sort of chuckling because of what Kristina said. We're so happy. We're content. We don't want this.
And God just started to open our hands to, what if you could have more of me if you said yes?
All right, as we open the new year, we get to know the president, CEO. Is that what your title is? Of FamilyLife.
That's the title, but I'm just happy to be here, Dave.
The new president and his wife.
This is sort of like Meet the Middendorfs, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it sort of is. I mean, what a better way to start the new
Luke
year.
and Kristina, welcome to FamilyLife today.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Are you glad to be here? Or are you like, I have to do this. It's on the calendar.
We're glad to be here with you too.
We love having conversations with couples like you around tables. That's been our story since when we were dating and engaged and married. And we happen to be on the radio and podcast and YouTube. That's how we're viewing it today.
And you guys are good at that. And you are passionate. I've seen that because we've been in conferences with you guys and getaways that you really like getting to know people.
Yeah.
So today, it's kind of like you just have a bunch of us sitting around your table and we're getting to know each other.
Yeah. But I have the most important question to start with.
Okay.
And it goes to Luke. Do you think you can beat me in Papa Shot? That's all I want to know. That's the question.
I have thrown down the challenge, so we will see.
He did before we even walked in here.
Okay.
You know I have beaten an NBA All-Star.
It's going to be Muggsy Bogues versus Shaquille O'Neal.
I'm trying to remember, who am I in this equation?
How tall was
You can
Muggsy?
fill in the blanks.
Muggsy was like 5'6" or something, but he could dunk.
But Luke, how tall are you?
He could dunk 6'5".
I cannot dunk it.
6'5".
I'm slow.
Think about
So
his
how about
wingspan.
that?
He can just reach his arm
He's not
out
allowed
and
to.
drop
There's
it in.
There's a line he has to stay behind.
No,
it has to
there's
be
not.
shots.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. Yeah, I ended up in a Dave & Buster's March Madness.
Oh, we are not
Papa
telling this
Shot.
story.
And the funny thing about it is I get to the Final Four, they have this thing, and the Final Four go against Vince Carter, who was coming in to play the Pistons, and I beat him. But I lost the championship.
Don't say it. Don't
to
say
a guy
it
who the lady at the restaurant said, hey, are you here for this Papa Shot thing? I go, yeah, I haven't done it in years, but yeah, it's sort of fun. And she goes, see that guy over there? She points at him. She goes, he's here every night, 8 hours. That's the guy that beat
That's me, Dave.
That's you.
I've been working on it this time.
Okay, we'll see what happens. I think we should take the camera in there and add a little bonus to our YouTube to watch Luke beat me.
How about MJ Scottie Pippen? Is that better? And people can decide who's who.
Okay. I think MJ's winning that one too.
Scottie Pippen, that's kind of a compliment.
Scotty, if you're listening, I like you. People know they dog you because they think MJ's the man. Actually, I got some MJs on right now. So anyway, we're not talking about that. We said it earlier. Like, what's your story? I mean, people that don't know your background. So start at the beginning, not all the way back.
And let me add this as a listener, as you're thinking, okay, this is their story. But we all have a story where God's interacting, weaving in things that sometimes we go in directions that we're very surprised where God takes us. And so first of all, tell us how long you've been married and your kids. How many kids?
Yep, 16 years. We have 2 kids, Molly and Brooks. They're 12 and 10. And Kristina was born on the West Coast. I'm a Midwest boy through and through. And we actually met in college at the University of Minnesota.
Didn't you meet someone with a Toyota? Isn't there a Toyota in there?
There's an elevator.
Elevator.
Wait,
Very close to Toyota.
how do you get Toyota?
I did my research.
We owned a Toyota minivan when our kids were little.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I saw it somewhere.
The elevator was long before that. We met in an elevator at a Cru winter conference when we were students.
I had been up all night, couldn't sleep. Roommates were snoring in my hotel room first night of the conference. And I just tried so hard to sleep all through the night. Couldn't do it. So I said, I'm going to try to get out of this room at about 6 a.m. and spend time with Jesus. So I packed up my bag, walked to the hallway, pushed the elevator button, the doors open. There she was. There's actually a full elevator of her friends. I knew some of them through mutual friends.
Kristina.
But I saw her. It was like the lights from the elevator ceiling were shining down just on her. And I entered into the elevator and said, "Can I walk with you to the coffee shop this morning?"
You said that
That's
to
how
her?
it started.
That's not quite how it went. There was only 2 girls in the elevator. It was just me and my friend, Colleen, and Luke knew her. So he got in the elevator and they're like, "Oh, hey." And I'm just standing there. And then he meets me and I'm, "Okay, this is fine. You can come with us where we're going." Her and I were going to go spend time with the Lord in the morning as well. And we get to the coffee shop and it's crowded. All the businessmen coming in for a cup of coffee on their way to work downtown. So my friend goes through the line, gets a table. I go through the line, get a different table because we're going to be in the Word. We don't need to chit chat. Luke goes through the line. And there are no tables left.
I had something different on my mind once I saw her and spending time with the Lord. Wanted to spend time with her.
So he comes over to my table and says, "Can I join you?" And I'm thinking, I don't really want a small talk this morning. Why would he not go sit with my friend who he already knows? Why is he here? But I was polite and kind. I said, "Okay." And I don't remember a ton about it. It wasn't, in my mind, there were not sparks that flew that morning. I thought he was a nice guy. But
What do you remember, Luke?
I don't remember much about it.
I was drawn to her early on. It wasn't that sparks flew where I knew where it would go, but there was something about her presence that drew me in and made me say, I want to sit by her. And we opened the Word, not together, but we each had our Bibles open. I remember drinking our cup of coffee, and there was just something calming about that moment, sitting together in this really busy coffee shop.
Is that still true about you with Kristina?
Sometimes when we're at our best, when we're walking in the power of the Holy Spirit, yes, absolutely. We really enjoy being together.
That's really sweet.
Yep. Hi, friends. We're Luke and Kristina Middendorf. I have the joy of serving as president of FamilyLife, and together, we're so grateful for what God is doing through FamilyLife and through you to strengthen families everywhere. Each day, we hear stories of couples who are reconnecting, parents who are finding hope and wisdom, and families growing together in Christ. God is using FamilyLife to draw them closer to each other and to Him.
From Weekend to Remember to Family Life Today, and through resources that bring biblical truth into everyday life, your generosity is touching lives around the world. Thank you for partnering with us as we help families pursue the relationships that matter most. We are grateful for you and for the impact you make every day.
So that's how you met. So did it go somewhere? Did you get in a Toyota and drive away, or what happened?
It wasn't long after that I started to see those same things. So that was Christmas. That January, Luke moved into a house of 14 guys on campus that happened to be my good friend. So I started seeing him a lot, and he stuck out to me right away. He was confident in who he was. A lot of guys in college are, they're the funny guy, the life of the party. And Luke was just kind of this quiet, calm, confident presence. He knew himself. He got joked as being kind of the old man in the house. He was younger than all the guys, but he would read the real newspaper with his black cup of coffee in his recliner in his room. And they would all funnel through for advice. I've got this girl problem, or I need advice on this. And he was kind of the sage of the house. And I just thought, who is this young guy? I mean, he was 1 year younger. Who is this new guy who all these friends of mine, these godly men, are looking up to? So I took note of him pretty early on.
How old were you guys when you met?
21?
I was 21. We were both 21.
21, yeah.
Okay.
We're a year apart in school, but he's older than me. So people say I robbed the cradle. I did not.
Hey, let me just do a segue right here. So you were both super involved with Cru.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How did that impact you?
changed our lives
Really?
and for eternity as well. We were both led to the Lord through the ministry of Cru on our campus through students. Students
So when
came
you went
to
to
our dorm
school,
room.
you weren't believers?
We both grew up in Christian homes where we went to church faithfully every week. Our parents were very involved, very religious, involved in church homes. I would say for me, I had the pieces of the puzzle, but they weren't connected. And when I filled out a survey in line for dinner one night in the dining hall, and this girl came to my room and she talked about leading a Bible study. And I went that first week, and the way she was fresh off a summer mission project, and the way she described Jesus was like he was her friend, her intimate best friend. And I had never, in 18 years of being in the church, I had never heard anyone talk about God like that. And I just remember feeling like, what have I missed? Like, how have I spent this much time in and around the church, knowing the right answers, knowing the stories, and yet I didn't know there was a God who wanted to know me like that, and who she just loved to be in the Word and spend time with him. And so I was like, wherever this girl goes, I'm going. And I was a sponge to just soak up everything that I felt like I had missed in those 18 years.
Yeah, I think when Cru is at its best, it's been a ministry of prayer, faithful prayer, sharing the gospel, and discipleship. And that's part of both of our stories. There were people praying for us even before we came to know the Lord or interacted with Cru. Someone stopped by my dorm room one of the first weeks on campus and said, I lived in this room last year, and I've been praying for you.
Come on.
Before I knew it was you, that you'd be living here. And honestly, I said, thanks.
Did you
think it was kind of weird?
Looking back, it's inspiring. At the moment, I thought, who is this guy? Why are you in my room? This is not why I came to college. Just to interact with Christians. Just like Kristina said, I did grow up in a church background, but I was not looking to walk with the Lord or grow in my faith when I went to college. And yet God pursued me through a lot of people, honestly, through Cru that were living in my dorm room, that helped me to grow, that prayed for me, and just were consistent time after time after time when I would show a little interest, but then walk away, and they wouldn't hear from me for a couple of months. And then finally, my second year of college is when I surrendered my life to Christ, joined a Bible study, started to grow. And it was the next year that her and I met. So we joke a lot. I say, I'm really glad you didn't meet freshman Luke. You met junior year Luke when I had a little bit more growth in the Lord by that point.
You guys, that's inspiring. I'm thinking of parents that are listening, that are praying for their kids.
Yeah.
Because Dave and I have such similar stories where we were discipled by Cru staff. And we really did.
We're sitting here today because of that. Yeah.
And so be praying, but also what would you encourage, like as parents, what's that conversation sound like as your freshman's going off to school, you know? Or maybe you have kids in college that have never done anything like that.
Yep.
Like how do you—
I mean, you'll be there in a few years.
Yeah. Do you even talk about that as a parent, you know, because it's kind of tricky?
As we've served on staff with Cru and then Athletes in Action and now FamilyLife, you know, maybe similar to you guys, we've gotten emails from parents over the years saying, my daughter or son is about to come to your campus and I want to introduce you to them and then you can meet them and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And they are having a high control experience over their kids' spiritual growth.
Yeah.
And so I think the way we've approached it with parents is pray fervently for your son or daughter. You're welcome to reach out to me. We can pray together and I can be a resource for you. But you need to let them walk into this and trust the Heavenly Father to guide them into the next steps.
It's good.
It is so crucial for students to meet someone who truly follows Jesus in their first few weeks on campus. And that's, again, the power of a ministry like Cru can do, where there's not just staff, but there's students faithfully walking with Christ, passionate about the Lord, that can meet them and say, hey, come be a part of this with me.
The other thought I had, maybe you thought this too, Dave, was as we go out and are interacting people in our world, in our culture, in our neighborhoods, I love Jesus so much, but I don't know if you guys feel this. Sometimes I can put a little, like, I hide my light. I don't want to be the weirdo. But even as you're saying that, when you when Jesus is just kind of pouring out of you and you're so excited, that's not repulsive.
Mhm.
That creates curiosity. Maybe at first, like, oh, this person's kind of weird, but there's something compelling.
Well, and I think that's the ticket of those college years is like you go into college and you're kind of looking to not necessarily reinvent yourself, but like what is out there. They're open more than they've ever been to new ideas and new people and new relationships. And so to have Christ come across their path in a attractive and way, just a way that feels like this resonates with who I am at my stage of life is such a key element because they've left that more high control environment of home where mom and dad dictate where I go and when I go and how long, and now they get to make their own choices. And so to show them a relationship with God isn't like staunch and stingy, but it's beautiful and he loves you and he's in pursuit of you. I think that's where the fruit is.
Yeah, that's good.
I think for parents too, if you see your son or daughter growing in their faith in college, if they're already a Christian or they come to know Christ, take a posture of learning from them. When they come back for winter break, spring break, summertime, ask them, what are you learning from the Word of God? What are books that you're reading? Could I read that too? And like do it together because we're connected through the Holy Spirit and we can learn whether it's from a 20-year-old, 40-year-old, 60-year-old. We've seen that. We've seen the power of students taking the message back to their homes of origins and actually impacting their parents, grandparents, siblings.
It's exciting.
Yeah, that sort of happened to us. We were impacted by Cru and really Athletes in Action in college. She was at Kentucky. I was at, the amazing place called Ball State. It's Ball State, the Ohio State. But no, when I first came home after really coming to Christ, my mom thought, single mom, but she thought I was in a cult. She had never heard of Cru. Back
Because you
then
were
called
so
Campus
excited.
Crusade. But I was like sharing the gospel and telling people they're going to hell. I mean, I was just an evangelist and I had to learn how to have some tact.
Yep.
But then as she did what you just said, she started asking questions. She realized, oh my goodness, this is a really powerful ministry. Then Ann and I started dating and we got on our knees as we got engaged in your parents' living room on that little couch. And we prayed that God would use us to lead all of her family to Christ. They're good people. Her dad was my coach in high school, and God did that. He led them all to Christ over time.
Over time, his grace, because I really did come in like, guys, I had no idea how to get to heaven. We are all going to hell without Jesus. And they thought I was the weirdest wacko. So we learned it's a good thing we were discipled.
Yeah.
And we can take a posture as we're very excited about our faith and we're trying to find creative ways to share that with people. Sometimes we blow it and we actually do hurt people as we're trying to share the good news by the way we share it, or maybe they're not quite ready yet. And that's a way we can demonstrate the gospel to our family members or neighbors is we can follow up and say, hey, how did you experience me a couple of weeks ago
Sorry
in that
about
conversation?
That.
Can you give me some feedback?
Yeah.
Even as a Christian to maybe a non-Christian person that you know and say, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Like how much better can we display the gospel through a moment like that than if we're just take it, run with it.
You don't
That's
bludgeon anybody into the kingdom, right?
Well, Dave, I can also remember like Cody going to the Passion Conference and coming home after his freshman year. But you were like, I want to hear all the music. I want to hear everything. And you'd sit in the car with him. And I remember you saying like, I just wept as I listened to this worship music. And I know for Cody.
There was a song that he played, I'll never forget, that we all know. Our God is greater. Want me to get the guitar? No. Our God is. But I remember that Chris Tomlin song, and I'm like, what is this? This is so good and powerful, and it changed my life. Okay, back to you.
Wait, I'm going to give one last tip to the parents.
I want to know where the Toyota fits in here.
Wait. I
want to get back.
Wait, as a parent, say less, pray more as your kids get older.
That was good.
Yep.
See how we roll here?
That's good. I need that. And our kids are 12 and 10. Like,
Why don't we? It's because we don't. Sometimes I think, well, Lord, you're taking too long and I'm going to help you.
It's that control aspect of I think I can communicate better than what God could do in their life as I pray for them.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, now you
So,
can get to the Toyota.
You fell in love somewhere.
We fell
In the
love. It was
Toyota.
quick. It was quick.
It must have been
We
out.
actually had a moment, maybe other couples can relate. The first time I told Christina, we were actually on a missions trip
Okay,
overseas. We can share this.
No, we want to hear it.
good.
We want to hear it.
I had
Okay.
been on this long summer
fine.
missions trip overseas. She actually came to visit towards the end of that because she was about to join staff with Cru. And I was prepping for weeks, like, I love this girl. Is this the right time to tell her? Do I wait? And I was just convinced, like, the day she comes, I have to tell her. I have to get this out. So she showed up. We had
I'm
like an
jet
hour.
lagged.
Yeah.
I had flown
She's
from
looking great.
Wisconsin to Paris by myself. Somehow got on a train to this small town in the south of France by myself. I don't know how God got me there. It was amazing. And I show up so tired, and he's like, "Let's go on a walk." I'm like,
Yep.
"I don't want to go. I want to go to bed."
And he said, you
that-
look great.
That's
looked
the
great.
setup.
I was focused and ready to go. And we were walking by the river, and it came out. I said, "I need you to know I love you." And then that was kind of
Crickets.
she took a little bit to say anything after that, but when she did speak, she said, "Can I get back to you on that?"
You really said, can I get back to you?
I don't know if that was the phrase, but I know that I didn't say it
It was
back.
the phrase.
He knows it
didn't
was the
say it
phrase.
back.
It's memorable.
I didn't say it back, not because I wasn't sure. I hadn't let myself go there yet in my heart. I think I had never said those words out loud before, and I didn't want to be flippant with them. And so I had thought, like, I don't know if that'll come. I mean, hopefully an engagement that I hadn't let my heart get there of, do I really love him? And so when he said it, I just thought, the movie moment would tell me to say, "I love you too." And we embrace,
You're
and
in
it's
France.
beautiful.
It was just
and
the
we're by the
tension part of the
river.
movie where she didn't say it back. What's going to happen
But I
next?
just had to be true to myself in that moment. And I told him I want to be honest. And I want it to count and matter when I say it back to you. So I need to get back to you. I need some time.
That's what I love about her.
I was gonna
too.
say.
There's intentionality and a purposeful aspect to the words that she says and where she
And
goes.
a few days later, when I did say it back to him, we were underneath the Eiffel Tower, and it was
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
No,
So
you weren't.
I redeemed myself. Okay,
You weren't in a Toyota?
Okay, we're done with the
Toyotas in
Toyota
France.
joke.
They're gonna have to
It's
cut
over.
a lot of Toyota.
No more
out of this conversation.
That's pretty beautiful, though. And it does say a lot about your character, Kristina, that you are sincere, that your words matter, that you're thoughtful in what you say and sincere in what you say.
Is that still true?
Well, there's this ongoing pattern in our marriage where I tend to get a little bit or a lot of bit ahead of her. In like, I see where we need to go.
Yeah.
I've prayed about it. I've talked with people. Let's go. And she definitely gets there, but it might take a little bit longer. But then when we're on the same page, like after that moment, it was a quick, next few months of dating, engagement. We're married. We're both on staff with Cru. Here we are sitting with you today.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to get back to that because I bet that could create some conflict too. Like, come
you
on,
know it.
get on the same
Yep,
page with
yep,
me.
Yep.
Whereas you can see it as this great
Well, I'm
gift.
guessing it had some conflict when Family Life calls. We'll get there in a second.
Oh yeah.
But get us from there to, where'd you go to ministry? What that look
Yeah.
like? Have kids?
So I actually felt the call to staff really early on. Like we said, it transformed our life, this ministry. And so I thought if we could give a few years of our life back to Cru and investing and how we were invested in, let's do it.
Well, that was even before we were dating. When I first started dating her, I found out on the first or second date, she had applied to go overseas as a missionary. And I didn't. I wasn't wanting that, looking for that. And so I was wrestling with, should I continue to pursue her as she's planning to move overseas? We could spend the first year of dating long distance. And again, through prayer, talking with some godly friends in my life, it was clear, keep going. She ended up not being able to go due to some medical things. And so God provided that next year for us to be in person.
Kristina, let me ask you, did you ever feel like being a missionary, because that feels like a calling to people. And I've talked to some wives that they didn't do that mission trip, that mission journey, and then they felt like, did I settle? Did I settle for something other than that calling? And I had this dream and it's never taken place.
Yeah, God has been really kind I feel like early on, he gave me a heart for the world, and I've just waited for this green light to go and to live overseas. And I've never had that green light to go in a long-term capacity, but he's been really kind to kind of scratch that itch in other ways, whether through international student ministry, short-term trips that we've taken in the summer. We got to spend 2 months as a family overseas in Italy, launching an Athletes in Action movement. Even the school our kids attended in Minneapolis was a Mandarin immersion school. And so it immersed us in this world of Chinese-speaking families and teachers. And so God has brought the world to me in some unique ways, in that giving up of that dream, at least for now.
For now.
So when you got married, you came right on staff?
We did. We were on staff with the campus ministry, a small school in Minnesota, for 3 years. And then God called us to Athletes in Action, which is kind of unique in that neither of us were college athletes. And that isn't a prerequisite, but it's pretty common. Yeah. You said you were involved in AIA,
right,
Dave,
right.
as a
Yeah,
student.
we both were.
Yeah.
Yep. So we did Athletes in Action for the last
13 years.
12 years at the University of Minnesota, which is our alma mater. And we were living the dream. We thought we would live in Minneapolis our whole life. It is the city of our heart. We just love it. Loved that campus. We had family in town, friends in town. Our kids were thriving. We loved everything.
It's where we went to school. It's where I proposed to her. It's where our kids were born. It's where we saw many people come to Christ, and students and neighbors in our home. And then we got a call.
And then the phone rings.
Yeah.
We would love to pray for you. I think one of the greatest gifts that we can give people is to pray for them. And I know it feels like it's not much, but God promises that he hears us when we pray. And we have a team here at FamilyLife that would love to pray for you. You can reach out to us on FamilyLife.com/pray-for-me and be specific with your needs. Tell us how we can pray, what's going on, and you know that we will pray for you. And here's the best part. God answers. God hears. God sees, and he is there for you. And we want to be there for you too. So go to FamilyLife.com/pray-for-me.
So what happened? You get a call, and what?
We got a call from someone who had nominated us for this open position in a ministry called FamilyLife. And initially I kind of chuckled under my breath as I heard this person sharing, this is why we could see you being a great fit. The ministry you guys are leading with students who have graduated and who are now newly married, they're having kids. This is just a part of who you are. Even though you've been serving with a different ministry, you should really consider interviewing. And I was sort of chuckling because of what Kristina said. We're so happy, we're content, and we don't want this. And yet over time, God really started to shift our hearts and reveal, I've been preparing you for this all along.
Okay.
You just need to trust me.
And it wasn't even that we didn't want it. It was also, we just kind of felt like us. Like we have not written a book on parenting. We don't have kids out of the house and grown, and we're looking back at life with wisdom to share. Like, we are in the trenches of marriage and parenthood. Surely you want someone older and more experienced than us. And we kept saying that throughout the process. And they're like, what we want is you. We said, all we have to offer is we can come alongside people and say, you're struggling, me too. Let's look at Jesus and walk towards him together. That's what we have to offer and bring. And apparently that's what FamilyLife wants in this season. And we can do that. We can do that.
So, Kristina, when Luke comes to you, and you're so satisfied with your life, like everything's going great. And he says this. What are you thinking?
I mean, I like a pit in my stomach instantly. And we were actually not together. I was on a trip with AIA in Salt Lake City, and he calls, you left me a Marco Polo, I think. He tells me in a message, and I listened to it. And I also laughed because I just thought at that point, I thought this isn't going to go anywhere. Like, this is just
That's
out of
funny.
left field. This isn't going to go anywhere. I laughed. I think the pit in my stomach came a couple weeks later as the conversation became serious, as he had a first interview. And I was like, okay.
This might be a fit.
And then we just started. I mean, it was so out of left field that we thought those moments where you're like, I think I need to pay attention to this, because this is not the story we're writing for our life, but maybe this is God. I don't know. So we thought we will pray. We will commit to praying about this. And it wasn't a fast process. This was months of prayer and God loosening that tight control I had on our family lives in Minneapolis. We go to this school. We do life with these people. And God just started to open our hands to, but what if there's more? What if I have more for you in your story? And we began to see that our trajectory really was pointing us towards this family ministry, that though we were working day in and day out with college athletes, those athletes graduate and they get married and they have kids. And we've done it long enough that we've seen that happen a couple of times through. And Luke would officiate those weddings. We would do the premarital counseling. They would come back and say, okay, I've got toddlers and babies and I'm pulling my hair out. What do I do? I'm like, I only have a few years ahead of you, but I'll give you what I can. And so we started to see how our ministry really was family centric. And we've always believed really strongly in doing ministry out of our home and having our kids be a part of that and bringing the athletes to our house, not just going to them on campus, but integrating those two worlds. And so we just started to see, okay, this might not be as far-fetched as we initially thought.
We didn't know many people who served full-time with FamilyLife on staff, but we had a number of really positive moments with the ministry as we were married. We've been to 2-week interim members that really were impactful in our marriage as we started to have kids. Those were really important moments for us. We've read through a number of the resources in our married life, the resources about biblical manhood, resources about marriage, and even family life today has been meaningful to us. I remember being in the car driving around our first year of marriage and listening to Family Life Today on the radio for you as well when you drive to Bible studies. So there's moments along the way where as we look back, we can tell God had been preparing us and giving us what we need.
Yeah.
But certainly in a place and a posture of we need him more than ever. We're fully dependent on you, Jesus, for this next step, and we trust you.
Whew.
Yep.
That's a good place to be and a scary place to be. Like, God, we don't have what it takes in our eyes, and we don't have the resources that we need in our eyes, and yet you're calling us. We just interviewed Ray Ortland and his wife, Janie, and he calls it the mushy middle, where life is comfortable.
Yeah.
And everybody in their Christian life, God will take you to this place of being desperate. And it sounds to me like, God, we can't do this apart from you.
Yep.
And that's a good place to be, I think.
Yep.
And a really uncomfortable place to be.
But it makes you desperate.
You have to be
does.
sure of the call that he's put on your life and seeing how we've spent lots of time through this process reflecting back on other moments. They may have been a bit smaller, but there are moments where we felt similar things of, I don't know how this is going to work. How are we going to join staff and raise our own financial support? And he did it. How are we going to be parents? We're leading a ministry. We're young ourselves. How do we do this? How do we move? All these steps along the way, we've looked back and said, God's done it before. He will do it again. He's faithful to his promises. Doesn't mean it's easy though when you're walking through it.
Now, how did you get to the place where you were sure of this call?
Because
like, this is God's call for us.
Because our listeners are like, how do I know God's
Yeah.
will? How do I make a decision and know this is what God wanted?
Yep.
That was what we were saying.
We asked a lot of people.
I feel like we had months of information and wisdom and input and prayer. And yet it's just like to make that jump and cross that line. It's like for us, the cost was so high, right? This wasn't like take the role and stay where you are. This was take the role and uproot your entire life and kids and move to this new place. And so we were really slow to make that decision. And in the end, we went to our pastor and basically said what you just said, like, how do I discern God's voice? Here's all the information. We kind of verbally vomited
We've trained
him. Like,
dozens, hundreds of students over the years to do that same question as they're thinking about career and do I end my sport? All these things. We've led Bible studies on that. But it's different when you're in it, like, how do we do this? Again, this is really big.
And of course, he didn't have, a prescriptive answer necessarily. But what he did say was, he said, through the Bible, we see when God calls people, there is a clear external call and an internal call. The external call, in your case, seems to be very clear. There was all the signs are pointing towards this is where you're going, but we're trying to now discern the internal call. Is God actually asking Luke and Kristina to say yes to this? And he shared part of his own story in a moment where he was discerning a decision, and God said to him in a moment of prayer, what if you could have more of me? What if you could have more of me if you said yes to this thing that he did not want to say yes to in his flesh? And when he said those words, I felt something shift in me internally of when my perspective is not my comfort, my home, my friends, my family, all these things that are good. Like those are good desires that God wants to satisfy. But as a believer, more than that, I need to want Jesus. And if more of Jesus is promised when I get out of my comfort in that mushy middle place and I have to depend on him because we don't yet have friends here. We don't know what school our kids will go to. We don't know where we're going to live in this new city. All these things that are question marks, that's where we need God, where we are dependent on him. And so when I framed it that way, it was like the answer was just obvious all of a sudden. It was like, this is more of God. Okay, that's what we'll step into.
Wow.
Was it the same for you, Luke?
It took me a little bit of time after that conversation, and I think it was the next week when we had been offered the role, so that there was some signs towards the external call, and then it came. When we were offered the role, they said, you got a week or so, get back to us. And it was in that week where the external call was there, and I just took some time in solitude, fasting, prayer. It wasn't long, but even just a day focused towards, Lord, what are you saying? And what happened was connecting with more of God and seeing that he's been leading us. I just had it was an internal sense. It wasn't a voice from God that I heard. It was an internal sense of he's been leading us in this direction, and to go the other way is disobedient to him. And I still had a choice. He gave me the choice to make, but I'm choosing him. I'm choosing his call and the unknowns of what that might mean in the next year.
I think when we're younger, even college, coming out of college, Dave and I both prayed a prayer of surrender. God, I'll go anywhere. I'll do anything.
Yep.
There aren't people attached to us. It's so different as we get older. We've got
it's more
more material goods, and our children are attached to us like by strings, and like this will affect them. And I think about that sometimes now. If God called us to overseas or somewhere further away from our family, would I be willing to say yes? I think even as a listener, are you still saying yes to God after all these years when life can feel comfortable?
Yeah, in some ways, I'm listening to your story, and I think Peter in the boat, the disciples in the boat. I don't know if you've ever read John Ortberg's book, If You Want to Walk on Water, You Got to Get Out of the Boat. That was a book that changed me because it's like so often the mushy middle's the boat. It's comfortable. I feel. And then he's always out there. He's over there. You're like, why can't Jesus just be here in the boat with me?
All the time.
He's out there walking and says, you got to take that step. Yeah. So that's the step you took. Yep. And so often it's like, is that water going to become solid? Because right now it's not turning solid. It is water, and I'm going to drown if I step out there. But here you are, and I love what John said in the book. He says, there's boat potatoes and there's water walkers. Are you a boat potato, meaning I'm going to hold on to my boat because it's comfortable and I know what the salary is and I know what the 401k is and I know what my future looks like and my kids will be okay in this school and this. And it's like, no, Jesus is over here and he's saying, come. And it's scary. And you've just done that. 9 months ago, you did that. How are you feeling?
There are days where it is the exhilarating, like, oh, we're following Jesus. I know that in my gut for sure. And then there are days where I lose sight of that and you feel that you're down and now I'm treading water because my eyes are not on Jesus. They're on all that is still not where I want it to be 9 months in, or all that's still unsure, or looking back on what was and what we don't have. So it's up and down. It's been up and down.
Honestly, we were in an airport with our kids just a few days ago, flying back to Orlando, and our gate, the sign said Orlando. The gate next to us said Minneapolis.
Wow.
And one of our kids kind of whispered in my ear, I want to get on that plane to Minneapolis.
Really?
I don't want to go. And honestly, part of me felt like I kind of agree with you because that's the mushy middle. That's the comfort zone. We have family there. We know what it'll look like. And it was the obedient path isn't a one-time thing. It's the daily moments. It's that moment to say, and I acknowledged with her, I do feel that too. I would like to get on that plane, but we're going to go together and I'm going to be here with you. We're going to be together as a family. God has good things for us.
Take us back to the conversation with our kids, with your kids, because I know that as listeners with kids, maybe you feel this call and your kids are like, what?
Yeah.
How did you serve that up and how did you talk about it with them?
I had very little experience as a kid thinking about moving or having those type of conversations with my family. We've had that as a couple processing decisions, but Kristina actually had firsthand experience from when she had to move as a kid that she reflected back on.
Right between the age of our kids currently when my parents said we're moving from Washington State to Wisconsin, which might as well have been another country to me. I didn't know where it was on a map.
It seems like a different country.
I just knew cows were there and I didn't want anything to do with that. And so that was a traumatic move for me. I was entering middle school. I was so angry for a really long time and angry at my mom and dad, angry at the circumstances. I believed in my 6th grade mind that if I was miserable and angry enough, my parents would change their mind. They'd be like, oh, we're so sorry. Redo, we'll go back. That didn't happen. And so when this came about and our kids are this age, I just had this moment with God of like, what are you asking me to do? Like, there's no way with my story that I would do that to my children. And they are that, like, it was too much. It felt like too much to handle. And yet God walked me through that and helped me see, because of that, I've actually equipped you to parent them through this moment where you experienced deep pain. And I didn't yet know the Lord at that age. And I've equipped you with what you need to do this a different way. And so we let our kids in on the process somewhat early on. They knew this was happening. They knew he was flying to interviews. They knew when he would make it to the next round. It was an open conversation we had with them because we didn't want to spring it on them. And yet I don't think they believed that this was ever going to happen.
No.
So the moment we sat them down was
really hard.
What did it sound like?
Actually, it was pretty silent after we shared the news, and then there were tears.
One of our kids
of
kind of immediately leaned into us and was crying, wanted to be held. And we were all on one couch together. And our other child went to the opposite end of the couch, just alone in anger and frustration and his own tears. And we gave him space to do that, but kept when
it was
you're
tempting
ready.
to say, like, don't you get it? Like, God has called us.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. It's going to be good. And you're going to like it.
I would have the fear, like, will they be mad at God?
Yeah. We processed that along the way. And just the discernment to be silent in the moment and thinking about all the times where Jesus was in a pressure cooker situation and he remained silent. And we can be like Jesus sometimes in those moments, to just let the moment be and let God work through the other people in the room, including our own kids who are early in their process of trusting Christ. But we knew this was a decision God had led us to. We're going as a family, but God will have something uniquely for each of our kids, and it may not be in the same timeline as for us. And even in that first conversation on the couch, when one of our kids turned away, it wasn't much longer, 10, 15, 20 minutes, where he came back. And we had a really special moment all together. And there's been other times where we've felt like turning away, or the other kid has turned away. And that's where this is a daily walking it out of obedience.
I think the temptation as parents is to fix it, right?
Yeah.
Or to be like, we're going to be okay. God has us, like, to say those platitudes and kind of put a Band-Aid on it. And instead, we tried to be really intentional to give them space to feel whatever they were feeling, and even to let them see, I feel that too. Like when our son articulated that he was angry, to say, I'm angry too. I don't like this. We are making the decision to say yes to what God is asking us to do. And at the same time, the cost is really high and I don't like that. And so we wept with them, and not just in that moment, in the months to come, as the waves of grief hit, as we experience the lasts of things. And it has continued in our move as we've grieved what we don't yet have here that we had there. And it still comes in waves, but to let them see, we can feel those emotions are not mean that we're disconnected from God. It actually, God meets us in that, and he walks with us, and he can handle that. He can handle our pain, our anger, our fear, that's okay. So
it's given us an opportunity to keep our eyes open in the months after we move, for how is God going to show up here? We don't know. Like for kids, it's who are my friends going to be when I move? Who am I going to hang out with in the neighborhood, or who is going to be on my sports teams? And there was a moment in those first couple of weeks where we had put our kids in some camps. Right when we moved, we were unpacking boxes, and they got to try to meet some kids at these camps where they didn't initially know anyone. But the next week, the first time we checked out a church in Orlando, we opened the car doors. The first noise we heard was, Brooks! And that's our son's name. And there was a boy who he had met at that camp who was calling out his name. And certainly that was a special moment for him that we talked about later, but it was almost as if the Lord was calling out to us, saying, I'm here. I've got you. It's going to be okay. So the Lord ministers to us through our kids in these processes too.
I mean, what great wisdom you've just shared for parents listening, like how to process a hard move decision with your kids. Is you can't control them. You can't tell them how they should respond. You let them respond and be there. Be what they need. If they need a hug, you're hugging. You know, can you imagine if they came over to hug you and you turned away? Some parents do that. It's like, no, they need a hug. And guess what? They're turning away and they're mad at you. Let them be. Let them have that time. Way to go.
But I also love, I think as parents, I'm just going to say this personally, my kids can become my idol.
Oh, yeah.
where I'm making all the decisions of my life theologically,
Based on
future,
them.
based on what they will feel about it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, I want my kids sometimes to be in the mushy middle, to not feel pain, to just be happy. Just be
100%.
happy.
Yep.
I want you to be
Yep.
happy.
Yep.
I think that's just a part of who we are as parents, but it's not the best place for them to be.
Yep.
I want them to be clinging to Jesus just like I am, but it's easy for me to do than to watch them struggle is one of my hardest things.
Yep.
And so for you guys to be obedient to God, what an example to your kids. Like mom and dad don't even necessarily at times feel really happy about this, and yet they just want to follow
I mean, Kristina,
Jesus.
when you look back on your move as a middle school girl, now do you look at it like,
I wouldn't have met my husband.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
yeah.
definitely like seeing all that God did provide. But it doesn't take away that it was hard in the moment. And I think, we've been able to name hard. Luke just said to our daughter the other night, hard isn't bad. It's just hard. It's just hard. And sometimes we think anything hard is bad and it means I shouldn't do it. But that's not true. Hard can just be hard. And God calls us to do hard things often. Often.
Yep.
Yeah, here's how I think we should end. And if you disagree, the president, you can veto this. Talk about what you think is the future.
Yeah, your hopes and dreams.
You're dreaming about family life. Where are we headed?
I think for those of you who are familiar with family life, what an incredible history.
Yeah.
Some people have said, do you know the size of the shoes you're stepping into? And maybe they haven't seen me in person yet.
I was gonna
wear
say
14s.
Yeah.
So I've got some big ones. They're speaking to, of course, we've had incredible staff and leadership in family life, speakers and authors and creators of content and conferences. And family life is a global ministry reaching people all over the world. And here are Luke and Kristina. I'm a Midwest boy stepping into this global organization. And it has been tempting sometimes to think more about who I think others might want me to be instead of who I know God's calling me to be. And a unique part of us in this stage of life is we are family with kids at home. We are younger leaders. And that's not accidental by the Lord. It's actually intentional. So as I'm months into the role now, I'm starting to integrate that more into decision-making and conversations about where we're headed, that God has prepared us for this moment as we're dependent on Him. And we have perspective about the next generation of families that need the gospel just as much, if not more, than the previous generation. There's families and marriages we've ministered to over the years. We can bring those experiences into this role and say, hey, what about this new resource we might create? Or how might we create a new experience? Or what about taking families on missions trips all over the world, just like we've gotten to do? So we're bringing that in, and we're learning so much through staff who have served here, through our partners who give and pray for the ministry. And even just a few weeks ago, getting to meet some volunteers that help lead events like the Weekend to Remember. These are dedicated people who have full-time jobs, and they give of their weekends so that more marriages would trust in Christ and grow in oneness, and then be equipped to impact more people. So that's what gets us excited. Is we've had lots of moments and years really of seeing flourishing marriages and flourishing families. We've felt that. It's not always easy. We don't feel that every day. But we know what it does feel like to flourish with the Lord, with each other, and with others. That's our dream and our vision for more marriages and families in the U.S. and around the world.
And as Dennis Rainey used to say, the founder of Family Life.
The guy with those big shoes?
Yeah, but they're not as big as
They're not as
Luke's.
big as they're not 14s.
But we
Dennis
love
is probably
Dennis.
about an 11, I'm guessing.
Yeah, me too. But I'll never forget, and that has really driven us, that the greatest evangelistic tool that we can have is a great marriage.
Yes.
And that's especially true of the future.
Yep.
Like people are looking, they're desperate to have a good marriage and a great family.
Yeah, I sort of think, even now, sort of what's going on in our country, it feels like there's a real spiritual interest and drive. And, some of the things I'm seeing on college campuses.
Like a revival.
There's a sense of revival with the next generation. And I'm thinking, and all those kids are looking in some sense for a solid marriage and family that they can emulate or see, like, that's what I want. Whether they're single or married even now, they want the foundation of a marriage and family,
Of Jesus.
which is what Family Life gets to do. Say, here's how God does that, and here's what it looks like.
I know, Dave, you've worked with a lot of professional coaches and athletes, and we've had opportunities to do that too. And I just think about some of those interactions we've had over the years, especially with coaches. You sit in their office week after week, you're sharing the gospel, you're trying to disciple them. And then you hear comments like, Luke, what's impacted me the most, more than anything you've said, is getting to watch your marriage.
Yep.
And I want that.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, I thought I had some good things to teach you. Don't you remember? And it's like, no, what I remember is when you talked about Kristina, when you talked about your kids, when you showed me pictures of things you were doing and where you were going. And that's what impacts me the most. So we completely agree with you. A healthy, flourishing marriage is a vehicle that God's going to continue to use,
and it's
around
global.
the world.
I mean, they're watching to see if we actually live it.
Yep.
I've shared here before, my youngest son, who had just preached at our church, he was in college at the time, and he actually did a message with me, and he was just on fire. And so these men's group came to me and said, hey, we have this little get together a month from now. Could you come have dinner with us, and we ask you questions about being a dad? And then they said, hey, any chance that your son could come with us? He's on fire. We're hoping our kids, when they're that age. So we go over there and we sit down, and they start asking questions. And they asked Cody this question. They said, hey, what did your dad do that helped you? You're on fire for Jesus. It's, it's palatable. What'd he do? And I literally sit beside him, and I'm thinking, he's going to talk about the mission trip when he was 13. He's going to talk about the Bible studies we did. And I had all these thoughts, and he just sat there. He didn't say anything. And I'm sort of looking at him like, okay, now he's thinking which one of these 100 things, And it was amazing that he finally goes, the only thing I could say is he lived it. If I want to know what a man of God looked like, he was right down the hall. And he goes, I don't remember really any Bible studies or sermons, or I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, not that those things don't matter.
Yeah.
But the next generation is looking for people like you guys saying, that's what it looks like.
We're all in.
And I want to follow that because it's authentic. It doesn't mean we don't struggle and have pain and problems, but they see a victory in the struggle, and I think they're drawn to it. And that's what you guys have just shared your story is like, I don't know. I'm thinking there's families listening going, I want that story. Yeah. I want to be stepping out of the boat, trusting God when it's scary, and we don't know where it's actually going to go, but we're going to step into a piece of water that's going to be solid, and Jesus is going to meet us there.
And
That's what you've modeled for us.
I think the start of that is a prayer that's surrender, that all of us have
scary
done.
Prayer.
Yeah.
Like, God, I give you everything. I give you my kids, my marriage, my future, our jobs. And we're going to trust you that we can walk with you in whatever you have for us. That's scary.
Yep. And there's a lot of other voices in those moments that might be telling you, don't do it.
Yeah.
There's other disciples even in the boat, people that truly love the Lord, that are saying, are
Stay
you
in the
crazy?
mushy middle.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
And we certainly had a few people that were like, really? Like, look at all that God has for you here. Look at what he's doing. Why would you give that up? We had to, again, with our kids, seeing those tears, or other family members thinking, what will this mean? We don't know what it will look like to connect with our extended family who doesn't live in Florida, where we're moving. And to have those moments together with also with others who we've invited into the process that are godly counsel for us. And then moments of solitude with the Lord saying, I need you.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to tell me 10 steps ahead, but help me with this next step. And it's the simple call of every disciple of Jesus to listen to the Lord primarily through his word, and then do what he is calling you to do.
It's good.
That's simple, but so hard.
It's so hard.
Listen and obey. And it's the same with parenting. It's the same as we disciple others. That's the primary call we have as disciples.
And maybe your parents will move to Florida. It's a good place to live
Let's
as you
put
get older.
that out there. Yes, Ian. Let's pray for that.
I don't know.
No.
They're probably listening right now.
I know.
Probably are.
Are you saying no?
Maybe.
It is a
Yeah.
great place to visit in January. Yeah.
I think back to your question on just what excites us about the future of family life. I think back to the beginning of our story, we've always felt like part of our calling that's not unique to us, but isn't always done, is to integrate family and ministry together. That as people who are in full-time ministry for our vocation, there's a temptation to do ministry. Mom and dad go out to do ministry, and then we come home and we're home, and the home is separate of the ministry. And we don't want to sacrifice our kids on the altar of ministry, but we do feel like a unique part of our calling as a mom and a dad is we have a circle of influence as individuals. I have people God has put in my circle that he wants me to reach out to, and he wants me to have an influence on. And Luke does separate, and our kids do, but also together as a family, we have a circle of influence. And we think about and talk with our kids all the time. Who is God? What neighborhood is he going to place us in? Because there are people there who don't yet know Jesus. And there are neighbors we're leaving in Minneapolis, and the story's not done, but God doesn't need us there. He'll bring other people into their life. He's calling us here. And so that excites me about we want the marriage to flourish. We want the kids to flourish so that the world sees and they say, hey, what's different over there? Why does that home experience joy? They just walked through trauma and they've come out the other side. What's different? I want to know that. And I think that's what excites me about being a part of a family ministry is the family is on display right now in our culture. People are paying attention and noticing, and we can make much of God.
I think we should pray a prayer of surrender for our listeners and watchers. This is what I'm feeling.
It's dangerous prayer,
Yeah.
Dave.
The dangerous
It's a
prayer.
scary one, isn't it?
No, I mean, I'm thinking as you're watching or listening, I think the Spirit of God has been talking to you. I mean, through you guys. When
Yeah.
you shared that story, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a scary, that first step of faith out of the boat, the mushy middle, whatever you want to call it, that's a really scary step. The next one's easier, but the first one, and you talk about even for your kids, but for a family or an individual or single is like, okay, he's calling me. And I know he's calling me. I've done the work. You talk about people and counsel and the word of God and the Spirit of God. But I'm not going to do it. You know, it's like, but I got to do it. It's like that leap in the air. And it's like, will he catch me? Yeah, he will. But you won't know until you leap, you know? And I think there's people listening going, okay, I've been sensing something. Today maybe been the day as they listen, like, okay, I have to take that step.
Yep. I think as we've talked about, how do you listen to God's voice? The mysterious question.
Yeah.
There may be something we said. And as you listen to our story, there was just a thought that came to your mind or maybe a gut check like Kristina mentioned. And as you wrap this up, like follow that, bring that to the Lord. Like, God, was there something to that idea or that part of my life that I maybe haven't surrendered or a place that I've been thinking we might need to move to or a job to take or a different school for our kids? That's a part of that process of hearing his voice is he will bring to attention things in your life. And we need to slow down for a minute and say, God, what might you be saying to me? And involve people in the process. We don't need to do that alone.
Yeah. And I would say, too, to ask God for another confirmation.
Yeah.
You might be feeling like, okay, I feel like this, but Lord, it's not like we threw out fleeces at a time, like, God, we're going to move this way, but show us. Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, I preached for 30, 40 years, it seems like. I'm still doing it. And years ago, I thought, I grew up often sitting beside my mom in a pew at a church. And so I thought later, I was like, how does God speak? He speaks through the pews. And sometimes you think when you're sitting in a pew, that's when he speaks. No. It's an acrostic. He uses people. And your story, even going to your pastor, that was somebody that God used in your life. And it could be It could be a stranger. God can use anything. He used a donkey in the Old Testament. He uses events. That's the E. Circumstances line up. And that doesn't always mean that door is opening, but you got to look at him and say, is God in this? Right. He uses the word of God. And then the S is the Spirit of God. There'll be a nudge. You'll sense it. It's like, I hear the call of God. It's not audible. But he's saying it's time, and now you got to say, okay, am I going to do it? So I'm going to pray for you a dangerous prayer. We've already all stepped out in the dangerous prayer. It doesn't mean he's not going to ask us to do it again.
And we have to continually.
God, please don't ask us to do it again. We've done it, okay? That's one. But no, I'm thinking there's somebody listening that's like, or watching that, let me lead you with this prayer. Father, we surrender. And that's a hard thing to say. It's not my will. It's not what I want. It's what you want. And God, we surrender ourselves personally and individually, but we surrender as a marriage and as a family to you to do your will, whatever that looks like. God, we ask that you make it clear through a person or event or through your word or your spirit. I pray you just make your call clear. And as I discern that as a clear call from you, Lord, give me the courage and the faith. I don't need great faith, but I need mustard seed faith, enough faith to step out and go where you're calling, where you're leading. And I know you're not standing, you're walking, and I want to walk with you. So Lord, wherever you're calling me and us, I will obey and I will step out today and follow you wherever that may lead and trust you with my life and my family and our legacy. So we give you our full selves right here and we ask you to lead and I will follow you wherever that goes. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Now let's go shoot some Papa Shot. Okay. Oh, wait. I turned off the sound. Oh, wait. What's happening? Hey! I'm gonna give you the elbow. You better not. Everything. What's happening? Oh, we got extra time. We still got extra time. He's taking all my ball. What's going on here? He's cheating. It's still going. I stopped. Give me the ball. Double jump.
It's going to be Muggsy Bogues versus Shaquille O'Neal.
I'm trying to remember who am I in this equation.
Hey, thanks for watching. And if you like this episode,
You better like it.
just hit that like button.
And we'd like you to subscribe. So all you got to do is go down and hit the subscribe. I can't say the word subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. I don't think I can say this word.
Like and subscribe.
Look at that. You say it so easy. Subscribe. There it goes.